we are back. Stephanie, are we online? Okay, we're back online. Travel request consent agenda. Any items to discuss? Pool? Nothing? Okay. Any items not to approve? They've already all taken place, so cannot approve them. I entertain a motion that we would approve the travel request consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Cordova?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have no emergency business. All the legislators from our part of the world are up in Santa Fe. And I don't know that there's any more other elected official announcements.
I have a bulletin. One thing I forgot, the important, I forgot to bring that up. I apologize.
For the college, there was a geo bond, which I don't even understand all that stuff, but there was a geo bond where we're trying to build a college of energy, or it's for the industry, to support industry. And the geo bond was for $4 million. The college was putting up $4 million, and I can't remember the other revenue source, but it has to go through Congress. Right now it's been reduced to $2 million, their part, because they say we have plenty of money down there, and we have plenty of money in our reserves for the college. So if you do talk to legislators, please bring up the geo bond for Southeast New Mexico College and reinforce to them that we really need that money to support the industry down there, if you would, please. And we're going to, as a board, as the college board, we're going to push that as well. Any help would be appreciated.
Thank you, Sheriff.
All right. County manager comments. We've talked a little bit about budget. We've talked a little bit about the legislative session. I know that locally we refer to it as the Holtec bill. There's Senator Steinborn has introduced another bill similar to one he's introduced in the past. It was being heard at 9 o'clock this morning. I don't know what the outcome of that, but basically it would stop any progress for an interim storage facility. It could have consequences for WIP. Again, people who don't live here don't understand what goes on here, trying to pass judgment from their perspective on how things should be is kind of, it's not right. And when the voices of those who are involved speak out, it's just we check the box and we're going to do what we want to do anyway. So that's a bit of a challenge, a bit of concern. And the way that testimonies are being taken in the legislative session, you can't do it in person, which I'm not sure how that serves the legislative process or not. But two other items. We've been working with Fire and Rescue, and I've asked Josh to collect data. Commissioner Carlson talked about his desire to have emergency response team, a trauma team, stationed in Loving or around Loving. You've approved, Eddy County has now taken on the responsibility for fire and emergency response in the village of Loving, and the other fire districts around there support that as well. The challenge is that today, the availability of volunteers to support fire and rescue responses is diminishing for lots of valid reasons. It's not the environment that it once was many years ago. Volunteers for anything are harder and harder to come by, and something that's as specialized as this, that we expect to meet training requirements and things like that. So it's become a challenge. In the data collection, I've asked Fire Chief Mack to collect. It's about responses and actions. And you've heard me talk in some of the previous commission meetings about mutual aid between City of Carlsbad and Eddy County, vice versa, City of Artesia and Eddy County, vice versa. It's becoming more and more the case. So in our budget process, much like we did with the Sheriff's Department, we may need to look at some additional staff to help us meet the response requirements to maintain, if not potentially improve, our ISO ratings, which are tied to response, equipment, and preparations for fire and rescue response, which translate back to premiums on insurance policies for citizens in the county. At some point, I'll share with you a report. There was a structure fire in south of the City of Carlsbad in the county late last week, and it was a joint response. Had it been only one agency, it wouldn't have gone the way it went. But it's just a reflection of our current situation, and so with the planning and preparation, we need to be planning to be in front of that so that we do provide the services that our citizens need. So we'll reflect some of that in the upcoming budget, I think, to help progress our plan towards that. I'm not suggesting that it would be a full paid fire staff. That's a pretty steep mountain given the geography that we have, but if we can have some key personnel in key places, much like Commissioner Carlson suggested, it goes a long way to making a big difference. Minutes mean lives. So we'll look to that in the budget process. The other thing, today's the 1st of February. I keep track of COVID statistics. The month of January had nearly double the number of cases of any previous month in the past 18 months. There were 3,580 positive cases in January recorded. The next highest month was August of 2021, and that was 1,824 cases. This particular strain, whatever.
And now we have at-home tests that we can all test on, so,
Exactly.
I mean.
So much bigger.
So there's that's,
Oh, absolutely.
we did 166 vaccinations yesterday at the clinic, but we've scheduled 3 opportunities to distribute the test kits that we've received. The New Mexico Department of Health and potentially the government would want everybody to believe that, oh, there's all these test kits around and everybody gets them, and here, you know, they're just everywhere. It's unlimited. That's not true. The number of kits available coming to the state and then distributed to counties and local governments is a terrible process, and the counties have been basically, the action to distribute them has been dumped here, you take care of the distribution. So Miss Jennifer's again doing a yeoman's job. They've set up distribution in the village of Loving, I think today from 3 to 4. Carlsbad, there'll be ones tomorrow, and then Artesia will be on the 9th. We have those public service announcements put on our website and distributed as best we can. But there's no specific hub, and there's no unlimited. We're limiting the two boxes per vehicle, so that's a total of 4 tests. First come, first serve. We don't have an unlimited supply. We're not supplying test kits to commercial businesses. There are other avenues and processes for that. But at the end of the day, I don't mean this poorly, but it's a whole lot to do about nothing, right? One test kit per citizen. Thanks.
Yeah.
Right? We appreciate the availability of the kits. Test kits are hard to come by, but for all of the fanfare this isn't what it's made out to be. We're doing the best we can with resources that we have available. Jennifer and her assistant are in Roswell to pick up the next allotment that we've received, and they'll bring them back down here. So it's best we can with what we have, and we're doing that. So Ms. Roberta is starting the budget process. We'll go out next week to the directors, and then like we did the last couple of years, we'll get together with the commission probably March or early April and give you an overview, give you some perspectives, give you some of our thoughts and ideas, and get your feedback on what you would want to see as we move the budget through the final process in May. So that's all for me. Any questions, concerns, needs?
I think we have any. You've taken care of all of those already for us, so I think we're in good shape.
All right, let's move to commissioner comments then.
Commissioner Dawson, you want to start us off?
Sure. As we said, we were up in Santa Fe. One of the things that they were studying at the time that we were having one of our meetings with the legislators was the minimum wage for New Mexico. And I usually wouldn't have a big comment about this except for the information that that come out of one of those committees was just really interesting to me, and it was a LFC report back to the committee studying the minimum wage, and they were saying in that committee that when it come out that a family of four making minimum wage $22,000 a year, that if they applied for and received all the assistance that they qualified for, that they would be making the equivalent of $104,000 a year tax-free. I thought that was pretty astounding. I would have never guessed that that was the case, but that was what the LFC report stated according to our legislators that was visited to us about it that night, Wednesday night. And so I thought that was pretty astounding. Thought that talking about the GO bond, when we're talking to our legislators, I think it's just like that. It's the same mindset on this GO bond that they have with the oil and gas, in that the thing that we're doing only benefits southeast New Mexico, when in fact this is a school for the whole state of New Mexico and West Texas, not just a school for Eddy County. So, you know, when we talk about that, we need to remind them that this is a benefit to the whole state, and it's more of a benefit than some of our state schools, in that it's going to have tailor-made classes and curriculums that will help industry that we're familiar with in the state of New Mexico. And so I thought that was the deal. And then the other thing that I know that people are going to get tired of hearing about, but I'm not going to give up on, and that is that we need to study the health care in our region of Eddy County and see what we can do to better provide emergency service, like ER type services for our citizens of Eddy County, that I think that are really lacking at this point. And so I'd still like to see a committee formed with not only Eddy County, but the Carlsbad and Artesia, and see what we can do regionally to improve the health care for our citizens. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Cross. Commissioner Beard.
I'd like to give Representative Townsend a high five for something he's just introduced. House Joint Resolution 11, and I'm going to read part of it here, has introduced a constitutional amendment that allows for school choice and a range of educational options that parents can consider for their children. New Mexico education system is broken, and the state is dead last in the nation despite billions being pumped into the system. I think that's not only a good deal on that, but in conjunction with that, he's also wanting with this constitutional amendment to break up PED and go back to statewide elected school board members, state school board members. I think that'll go a long way towards fixing education. This is kind of a play on what's going on nationally. Anyway, thank you, Representative Townsend.
Just want to thank everybody that's working on behalf of Eddy County. Kind of talking along the lines of this medical committee and whatnot. I was in Santa Fe this week as well, and I got to tour a facility. It's Santa Fe Recovery Program. They're a closest model to what Lifehouse is trying to be down here with detox and sober living and this and that. And their program has a lot of community and city involvement and achieving the common goal of, sobriety, health, wellness, whatnot. I would like to discuss that possibility with the county as well on what we can do, and I know that the county's working on that. But I just want to make sure that people know that it's becoming clear that people that aren't involved with Eddy County feel this entitlement to make these big decisions on behalf of Eddy County. And it's unfortunate because, what gets caught up in the middle are the residents of Eddy County and what we can reasonably provide and what we can reasonably do with the resources that we have. So I think it's important that we continue to push our message, and I'm just so grateful for the commission because I feel like the essence of what we want to do revolves around safety and what benefits our residents and their families. And so I think that as long as we keep that focus as a county, we push those messages, that our voices will be heard eventually. So I just want to say thank you for the hard work in S360 and everybody that's advocating for us.
Commissioner Henry.
I think what I'd like to do, and I appreciate the sheriff's comments towards us earlier, because it kind of goes into what I want to say is, I really appreciate this county. I appreciate this group of county commissioners and our sheriff, because whether it's an election year or not, we mean what we say and we do what we say. Safety's been a priority for this board since I've been on this board, even before this group, this current group. If the sheriff needs something for the safety of our community, it's never wavered. We've never even considered it, thought it. We get it done. And it's sad to see all of a sudden we have all these cities across the country that police and fire are now important, right? Because it's an election cycle. Now all of a sudden we've got to make sure these men and women are paid because they serve. Y'all just wanted to defund them, remember? Now we have a governor all of a sudden that's a Republican because it's an election cycle. We're going to give raises to those state police, and they deserve it. I'm not advocating against it, but why now? Why now is the Social Security tax such a big deal? Representative Brown has carried that bill for as long as I can remember, but they're in an election cycle, and she still can't get it through committee, so that shows how unfortunate. It's just posture. And that's why I love serving on a board like this. Why is it important? Because we each represent a district. I applaud Commissioner Carlson for getting the trash ordinance. Why? It affected you. Your folks asked you to do it. We got it done as a board because it affected the folks. It's not hard. Y'all are just as good at telling us, hey, this is affecting the folks out here. Can we get this fixed? It's not just the elected officials, it's the department heads, it's the folks in Eddy County, and I appreciate the fact that we actually do what we say, and we mean what we say, and we don't just talk about it every 3 years when it's fixing to be an election cycle. It's popular all the time. Make sure our citizens are taken care of, make sure we're fighting for our citizens, and it gets a little old when the cities across the state and across the country only find that stuff important every once in a while. So applaud to everyone out there. Kudos to this board for fighting, for continuing to fight for health care, for Things are important because the residents have deemed them important, and we're elected to fight for those things. We're not elected to stay silent, we're not elected to sit on the sideline, and we're not elected to just come up with these neat ideas every 4 years when we need to be reelected. So, please continue to do that. I hope that this board continues, and I'm sure we will, on that path of make sure our citizens are taken care of, because it's sad when obviously your poll numbers must be so bad that you almost sound like a Republican in the state of the state. And that's a fact. I mean, I'm not trying to bash the governor, I'm really not. Look at her state of the state. It sounded very Republican, and it's a lot of the bills that the Republicans have been carrying for the last 3 years that get completely ignored in committee because she doesn't need the vote. Now she's pretty desperate for the vote because of what has happened over the last couple of years. So I applaud folks that actually serve the people that are elected, that they're elected to serve. I think this board does a great job. I would like to say I would love to see this board take action against House Bill 6, because if it does do everything, I've read it a few times. I don't quite understand how, but I'm talking to people a lot smarter than me, like a Representative Townsend and those kind of folks. If it does what it says, it's gonna really destroy schools, local businesses, houses. I mean, folks are not gonna be able to afford to heat their homes. I mean, they're gonna make it very, very difficult. And down here, I like to have the heater every once in a while. We're pretty lucky. But I guarantee if you're sitting in Farmington on Thursday, you're really gonna want your heater to come on. Because it's going to be cold down here. It's going to be real cold up there. So those are things that I think we should, it's up to the board obviously, but that's one that I think really hurts our schools, really hurts our businesses, hurts our citizens. And I'd like to, there's a lot of bad ones. And hopefully with that much legislation introduced, it's all just a joke. They've got to make themselves look good for an election cycle, I hope. Because there's some pretty nasty stuff in there. But I do love the fact that, again, because of hard work from the county, Senate Bill 116, we're in a sweet spot. I guarantee there's not a whole lot of other counties that can match near the amount of money we'll be able to match to get some things done. So good job to everyone on the money part of it, because we'll be sitting in a spot to really take advantage of some of this stuff and improve our county in great ways. So I just want to say thanks to everyone that's elected in this room, and thanks for actually being for reals and not just being posture. And I hope we keep it up. I'm sure we will.
Thank you. I've done that sometimes continually, and adding is just a mistake to what's already been said. So I think we'll move on to the next item. That would be executive session. County manager, we good to go there?
Yes, sir. This is 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay, so
Let's see how
we'll come back in 40 then? Is that
No, this will be fast.
Okay. All right, we'll entertain a motion that we go into executive session to discuss threatened or pending litigation, to return in 10 minutes from 10:50. So we're back at 11 o'clock.
Good to vote?
Yeah, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion, second, call for the vote.
Action?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Cordova?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.